So as I said, this meeting is being recorded and we might use some extracts for social, etc. later on. So the purpose of this meeting is to introduce those who don't know it so well to our MA program in communications management. And I'm the lead professor of the program, so I oversee what's going on, the content, and I also pay keen interest in our students and generally looking after them, mentoring them and watching their progress. And I lead the thesis writing seminar as well, which is a great chance to connect with the students also. So what is the MA in Communications Management? Like all the best ads, it very much does what it says on the tin. It does exactly what it says in the title. So it's exactly a combination of understanding communication and media, the media landscape, including, as Nicoletta is going to tell us about, the very latest emerging technologies and their impact on communications and media. I'll let her take that one later. And on the other hand, it provides students with essential management skills. So it's a really great skill set to have for people who want to enter roles directly in communications, digital media, social media manager, advocacy, PR, those type of roles. But it could also be a really useful skill set for other careers as well. Managers require strong communication skills. I think it would also be ideal for somebody wanting to be, for example, an entrepreneur who wants to be able to communicate with clients about the strengths of their own services or product. So that's a little bit about the program specifically. What else can I say? Yeah, it's a very flexible and personalized way of learning. There are different start dates possible. You can take it at your own speed. If you do it in full-time, you can take it, it takes 14 months. You can choose to slow down a little and do it part-time. And then how long it takes exactly will depend on your speed. The classes are really flexible. They take place in the evenings or perhaps intensive sessions other times on agreement with students. But that means that you can very well work or do an internship at the same time as studying, so you can gain professional experience, which is really useful, potentially here in Geneva, or, well, at present, in a hybrid way. All our classes will be running hybrid. Zoom, which has, to be fair, been going really well. Nicoletta is a Zoom teaching pro. She can teach. I know you are.
Yeah, I mean, I had a kind of experience that I'm going to share with you later.
Exactly, and with our small class sizes, actually, Bernard, you know this too, it works pretty well. So we're flexible, it means you can study. You also have a lot of scope to customize your MA as well. There are 12 courses in total, 7 are core courses, 2 of which are taught by Nicoletta, who's here, 1 of which is taught by me. And that means that you have 5 courses that you can select. You can choose different emphasis areas. So you can do an emphasis in business management and take more courses, which would be in common with, for example, MBA students to boost those skills. You can take courses in psychology and counseling to boost your interpersonal communication skills. And you can also select courses in international relations if, for example, you aspire to working in an international organization where that kind of intellectual baggage would be really useful. So there's tons of flexibility there. And I've been delighted with the feedback I've had from our students so far. That validates this presentation, and that so far our students have been benefiting from this degree exactly in the way it was intended. So I've been really pleased about that. So the idea is that now we're going to chat a bit with Nicoletta so we can understand from professor perspective what it's like on the MA. And Carolyn is one of our current students, so she can also share her experience as well, what it's like from a student perspective. And it's supposed to be a bit interactive. So Renata, if you want to chip in with any questions at any point, you're welcome to do so. Either you can talk to us, that would be good. Or you can, if you prefer, you can type in the chat as well. We're quite happy to take questions that way.
Okay, so, thank you.
You're very welcome. So I wanted to I'm always curious to learn more about Nicoletta, because every time I talk to her, I find out about some kind of new professional experience that she has that I don't even know about. So could you tell us a bit about yourself, your experience in media communication, why you're so passionate about this area?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Sarah, and good evening, everybody. Now, yes, I've been working in media communication for many, many years, but I have to say that I've been always intrigued by technology. And actually, I have a sort of love-hate relationship with it. My background is in art. I study at the Academy of Fine Arts in Italy. I studied set and costume design. Then I moved to New York, where I started working for news. I was a reporter and a producer for many years for the Italian national television. Then I got a master's degree in computer graphics, again, technology. And then I discovered, and we are talking about 1986, when I finished my master, that computer and television would probably marry. And my thesis was on the convergence, and I was probably one of the pioneers of that. And since then, I've been working on, let's say, communication and technology. During my, let's say, master degree, I started with digital media, even though we didn't have any internet yet. And but then in working with, we had a computer called Amiga, which was fantastic, and we had 256 colors, and we had I mean, it was incredible. That time was incredible because we didn't know what to do, really, so everything was possible. And then I've done the first website for RAI, the Italian national television, in 1994, and before mine there were 36 sites. And after that, interactive television, and then again for Italian television, then Transmedia, then VR, AR, MR, I mean, virtual, augmented, and mixed reality. I mean, technology and communication for me, it's like bread and butter in a sense. So this is what I do. Even though now I have to tell you that after my PhD, I'm focusing more on technology or emerging technologies at large, and I will talk about it a little bit later if you want, because I think that communicating today, in communication today, we need to enlarge the scope and know about whatever it happens in technology at large. Voila.
We will look forward to hearing more about that. So how do you relate this passion with the courses you teach for the MA? Because you teach 2 courses, perhaps you could say a little bit about each of them in turn.
Yes, I mean, first of all, let me tell you that I would like to focus a little bit on what kind of skills and knowledge we need today. I mean, future communicators need today. You mentioned before that communication today is not only important for, let's say, students and young person or people that would like to take a communication, specific communication work or job. It's important for everybody because today we need to know how to communicate, how to jump from one platform to another platform, how to actually use all the tools that we have to communicate in a way that one will enhance the other. I mean, we need to know a lot of tricks and methodologies in order to be a good communicator, which is not only being a communicator as a job, as I said. Today, you need to know, you need to be a good communicator in order to relate with people. So what are the skills today that, for example, a communication manager do and need today? First of all, they need to know what are the newest trends in digital media, because unfortunately, digital media is evolving so fast that once we have the knowledge of a platform, boom, we have another one, or we have an exploitation of another one. So we need to know what are the trends, number one. Then in order to use them, they need to have the latest communication skills. And then they need to develop a sort of methodology and also to develop a vision, in a sense, with a specific digital communication strategy that will encompass many tools that we have. Because today you cannot be monodirectional. You need to use more than one tool in order to be a good communicator. So today, a good communicator needs to really know what's going on with emerging media. So how to exploit new formats, how to implement a transmedia strategy. The transmedia is a kind of ugly word, and we already use it, but you need to know what are the basic, let's say, way of deploy transmedia strategy. What is a transmedia strategy? Instead of having only a brand or a message, you have, or you build a sort of universe about what you want to communicate. Why and how? Why? Because in this way, you can connect to more than one audience. And two, how you do it, you have to understand your audience and you have to apply each platform to each your audience. And you have to create not only one story, but a story that is enlarged. So you give the possibility to the audience to enter in a story from different entry points. It's not easy to explain it without example. But what I'm saying is that today you have better ways of communicating, but you need to know how to do it. So back to your question,
how do you bring that perspective into the two courses you teach on the MA?
Yes,
so you're teaching media and culture and
well, what do I teach? I teach media and culture, let's say that I start from the first means of communication going up to Neuralink. What is Neuralink? Neuralink is a company that Elon Musk, the one that created Tesla and SpaceX, developed. And it's a company a little scary, but we need to know about it, which is which want to empower the brain. They want to implement or to do an implant in our brain, to place something in our brain that is going to augment the capacity and the way of using the brain. Why should we know also this? Because it's important to know, first of all, because we want to manage technology and not to be managed by technology. So we need to know, it's a duty for us to know what's going on in emerging technologies. But also, in this way, in a sense, together with the student, I travel into time to grasp the role of technology and how technology fits into culture and society. So media and culture is a course that goes up to the technology we are developing today, really exponentially growing technologies. And the other course is media and production management, media production management, which focus on platforms, on technologies, on new digital production, new digital production strategies. For example, we tap into the fact that social media is forcing us to update the ethical codes of journalism. You know that New York Times had to develop a new ethical code for journalists, and a journalist, if he or she wants to intervene in on social media, they have to remember that they are journalists from the New York Times. So whatever they write is not them, but is the New York Times. I mean, this needs to be mentioned, because if you want to be a communicator, in a sense, you are going to have a sort of duty which will not, you won't leave your job in the office, even though today we don't have an office. but you embrace a position that is going to be 24/24. And then, for example, in media production management, I also tap into the role of artificial intelligence today in communication. We know that a few weeks ago, The Guardian came out with an article written specifically by AI, but with my students, and Caroline knows, we tried also how AI is not really helping us, but is trying to, or is replacing many jobs in communication. So we talk about how, again, manage technology and using AI instead of being used or being replaced. So media production management, of course, focus on let's say the platform, the big platforms like radio, television, newspapers, web, and social media, but also focus on these new emerging technologies.
So that explains the comment recently by a student who described what you teach as futuristic. Because it's future-oriented.
I mean, futuristic, I don't know if I teach futuristic, I teach contemporary. Because yes, I can say futuristic because sometimes we take a little time to speculate on the future, meaning that, for example, I focus a lot on ethics and emerging technologies, and it's important to consider what these technologies are doing, because again, I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm going to say now, technology is very sexy. Each time a new technology, at least for me, each time a new technology comes out, it's incredible. I mean, we need to try, we need to see what it is. But then we need to be very careful because we need to consider the positive and not so positive consequences. And we need to reflect ethically if it's a good approach or not. Therefore, we speculate on the future. So let's say that we do a little futuristic reflection in class.
Thanks. So that's a bit about kind of what you're teaching. I'd like to ask you a bit about how you teach. What's your approach to teaching, and what would, a day in the life in an MA class be like when you're in charge?
Let's say that I'm not really an academic, meaning that I love to teach, and my students know that I am really passionate when I teach. Yeah. But I'm not really an academic. So, for example, when I prepare my lecture, I place a lot of contemporary things, maybe things that happen the same day or the day before. And my way of teaching, it's, first of all, as I said, I'm not an academic. I'm a journalist. I'm an international speaker. I curate events. I do many things. And I embed everything in my classes, number one. And also, I studied because I was working a lot for a big consortium of radio and television, international radio and television, the largest consortium in the world. So we analyzed a lot of audiences, attention span, and etc. And actually today the attention span is going down and down, meaning that is shorter and shorter. So if I talk a lot without any audiovisual, I mean, students after 3 minutes are going to think, oh, I forgot to buy the bread in the supermarket and tonight I don't have bread. So they go completely out. So you need to punch them. And therefore, my way of teaching is always with a lot of videos, a lot of pictures, a lot of questions. I mean, I try to do fireworks in a sense of grabbing attention, because otherwise, I think today, what I do, I put myself in their shoes. And I'm very bad, meaning that I get distracted very fast, very fast and very easily. And therefore my way of teaching is very colored. Let's put it this way.
Very colorful, thanks. Let me see. Maybe we should hear a bit from Carolyn as well, from the student perspective, if that's okay.
Let me just add something.
Sorry.
Carolyn,
Yeah.
no, Carolyn, say whatever you want, meaning that you don't have to be nice because I'm here. Talk like I'm not here, okay?
Talk like none of us are here. And no, she's absolutely free to speak her mind, which is why we invited her. So I'd love to hear, maybe you could tell us a little bit about you and what attracted you to come study communications management with us.
Okay, so a little bit about me is I'm very passionate about communications. I have an undergraduate degree in communications with a double major in electronic media and public relations. And with that background, then I think communications management was more suitable for me. But I think it's also good to say that I came to Webster to study international relations, but thanks to the support of the staff, I was able to get enough advice and career advice, and that's how I ended up doing communications management, and it's the best decision ever.
I'm really pleased to hear that, Carolyn. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit of student life in the MA? What is class like? I'm trying to think from student perspective what students might want to know. What is the class like? What are you learning?
Yeah, okay. For according to my experience in class is amazing. It's as in there's so much freedom, especially if you love learning. That's a plus. The professors are always willing to help you out. Even after class, you can you can reach out with questions or advice, and they're always willing to give you more advice, and they're very experienced. And yeah, so basically the MA in communications is very open and very informative, whereby, as a professor said, that we get to, it's not only about communication, we also venture into technology. I've learned so much, especially in marketing, an area which I didn't think I needed to learn. So that was the first course I did, and it's interesting how communication and marketing merges. Then I was also able to learn about international law, international business practices, and how while conducting businesses, communication comes through, and how also culture plays a big role. And that's why and that's how we can find ways to better communicate in business environments and organizational environments as well. So I've learned so much. It's just it's difficult to summarize this in a couple of minutes. So, but that's, and I also learned about how to create campaigns, which I'd like to venture into once later during my career. And also negotiation. Right now, it's such a big thing, and whether you know it or not, you need to negotiate in life, whether in business, in your personal life. And the MA in communications teaches you how to become a better negotiator in the business environment. Very helpful skill.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. I'm really delighted to hear that you're learning so much with us. That's exactly what we're here for. You've already said a lot about that, but is there anything else you'd like to tell us about what you enjoy most about studying on the MA?
Yeah, sure. Another thing is we have very small classes. So I mean, like, we're about 5 so far to 4. So the lecturers get to know you at a personal level. They get to know your strengths, they get to know your weaknesses, and that helps in learning, really. um yeah, I mean, it's very flexible. And also the good thing is, when we're working, once you're done learning, of course we have assignments, we have exams, but our however our projects which we work on are centered on what we need to do, what our career interests are. So the lecturer doesn't tell you that this is what you need to do. They just give you a framework, and then you need to tailor it to what you really need to do.
Mm.
So the education experience comes hand in hand, as in complements the career aspirations of students.
That's exactly my next question, actually. How do you think the program's helping you work towards your career goals?
Mhm. Yeah, so I can add on that. So I'd want to set up my own nonprofit organization, hopefully, and with the experience and skills which I've learned in communications management, now I'm able to negotiate with other experts in nonprofit organizations and government organizations, private companies as well. Then I'm also able to see that, to also manage the income. You know, of course, with business, you need to earn, and also, yeah, and also be sustainable. So that is something I've learned in the MA. And also how you can tailor, or rather frame, your information to better fit your key audience. And this will really come in handy when I plan on setting up my nonprofit organization. Yeah.
That's really good to hear as well.
Mhm.
And we wish you every success. We'll be behind you cheering you on as you set up your organization, and we look forward to seeing what you create as well in the future.
Thank you very
This is probably this is a really leading question. As a journalist, this wouldn't be allowed at all, and we might guess the answer. But would you, and why would you recommend this MA at Webster to other students?
um, I would recommend this MA to any student who would be interested in communications, business, marketing, because communication cuts through all fields, really. And yeah, the reason why I do this is I have learned so much in a period of less than 1 year. And I feel like this is more of an investment. So you don't only grow in knowledge, you also taught how to be emotionally intelligent. So I mean, this is a growing experience. And also you get to make connections with experienced people. I mean, the lecturers who we have years and years of experience in so many fields. So you get to learn about, they're very open in telling you about the mistakes they've made during the career. Then you get to learn from them and see how you can make your experiences better. So I really would recommend this communications management course to students, cutting across all areas.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. That's really gratifying to hear. And like you say, I think all the professors combine some kind of a strong academic background, either a PhD or an MBA with usually a current professional experience as well. Myself, I have a PhD in anthropology as well as a master's degree in business, and I'm working as a consultant. As you know, you've heard a lot about that. Nicoletta, who says is not an academic, has a PhD, has published a book, and is currently doing further research, not at all futuristic research into deepfakes. So a lot of us, and we love to share with our students.
Actually, yes, I have to tell you that deepfake, I put it on hold a little bit because after a while, I don't know, I was taken by something else. I'm more interested in, at large, in digital humanities, because we are developing a lot of technology that allow us to create digital humans that can read your emotion and act actually accordingly. Digital humans, you remember the movie Hair, was 2014, already six years ago, where the actor actually was falling in love with a voice, with a software. Now we are creating software that can read our emotion and act accordingly and have a sort of human feeling, a human face. Not only closed in a square computer, but also now we can have, some companies are creating a sort of holograms with these digital humans. So it's something that it's, for me, it's a little bit more interesting because, of course, it encompasses deepfake, but at large, it's a little bit more, let's say, more challenging. Also because my research is still focusing on the fact that technology is affecting us, and we need to consider that my research focus on the dichotomy and the difference between being human and human being. If technology affect or intervene in the human being, which is the Homo sapiens, our species, it just accelerates progress and evolution. Unfortunately today, because we are approaching technology which runs exponentially in a way without too many or too much consideration, ethical consideration, we are affecting our being human, so our humanness, so our essence, which is what makes us human. The fact that we have empathy, the fact that we can be taken by music, what defines us as humans. So if technology goes there or affects that, our humanness, we are going to lose, because we are starting to implant technology inside ourselves. We are starting to use technology to lift our hormones, serotonin, dopamine, and etc. So we risk to become technology. I don't believe that we are going to have a super intelligence that is going to conquer us, but I believe that we are going to merge with technology. Therefore, we should be, in my opinion, careful, because if we can protect as much as we can the fact that we are still human, it's good. So this is at large my research, and deepfake goes into it, but it's a little larger issue.
I think that it speaks to the deep connections that exist between communication and the relationships we build and our identities. You know, a fundamental part of human life, which is obvious when you know it, but I don't know if people think in these terms unless they're, you know, had some exposure to that. For me, that's also the value of learning more about communication, is that it plays such a fundamental role in our lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
At this point, I'd love to open the floor to any questions. Now I'm going to really be picking on poor Renat, who's our guest. But Renate, if you have any questions at all, don't be shy, because it also really helps us to know the kind of questions that prospective students might want to know about, so we can provide that information. So is there anything you'd like us to tell you about?
To be honest, I don't think I have any questions. Everything was so clear and well presented. And I like the fact that the master's degree goes with my major. Now I'm studying business marketing. So I think it's a very good combination. And as she mentioned, the reason I want to study in Webster, my master's degree, because it's a very friendly environment and the professors are very understanding. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Excellent, thanks for that. And again, any feedback is actually super helpful for us to know what we're getting right, where, you know, because the idea is to serve students, right? And to provide you with a nurturing place where you can learn and you can work towards your career goals. And I also, one of the things I enjoy about teaching at Webster is precisely that we have small enough classes, but I get to know you guys really well, which, you know, I love. And I realized I've never actually physically met Carolyn because we've just been learning virtually together, but actually I feel as if I've known her for years, which is a really nice thing.
If you don't mind, Dr. Sarah, I have something to add. So,
please.
Yeah, in addition to the benefits of the MA in communications, also at times, okay, it depends on the lecturer, but lecturers are always open to your opinions. So we at times also have consultations once we're during the last class of our semester. So during this time, you can ask your lecturer any questions regarding your career aspirations, regarding maybe a topic which you need more clarification in during class. And I think this is beyond amazing that you get your own time if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with the lecturer. Yeah,
That's great.
more of a parental.
Oh, we're always here for you. I think, Nicoletta, what do you want to add?
Yes, even after the class, I think.
Yes.
Because I have several students that I am in touch with, and it's as Caroline said, it's like really a relationship more than a student professor. We establish because when you teach, you always learn something. So it's a kind of give and get, which is beautiful, because at the end, again, we are all humans and we are looking for this kind of relationship. So it's not only professor and student, meaning that we have a desk in between and stays like that. It's not like that at Webster, never.
No, I completely agree. And that's one of the things I enjoy as well. It's really about the human relationship. And, you know, ditto, there's many students I keep in touch with, and it's such a pleasure as well to see them grow after they sadly leave us. If Renate doesn't have more questions, I'd actually like to ask my colleagues who are here if there are any kind of frequently asked questions that come up when talking to prospective students that we could address that we haven't yet addressed.
Hi, sure, this is Will, and thank you so much, Nicoletta. It was great to hear more about the way you're teaching. I learned a few things about the program even just by listening this evening. One of the questions that comes up is about the professors, and obviously those who are listening tonight have learned about you, Sarah, and Nicoletta. How about one or two of the other profiles of the professors who are teaching in the program? Where are they coming from? What are their backgrounds?
Okay, that's a great question. So like I said, most of the professors, well, all of the professors have either an MBA or a PhD, and it depends what they're teaching. So one of the professors I know best, because I co-teach with him, is Dr. Glenn O'Neill, who has a PhD in research methodology from the London School of Economics. And he has his own successful consultancy, which specializes in evaluating communications. and doing research related to communications. So that's one example. So he has his own professional practice and also teaches with us. Other professors, I think Ron Banks has an MBA and is a specialist in marketing. Dr. Ed Boone is a specialist in digital marketing and also has his own history of professional experience working for corporations in marketing. So he brings that with him as well. Kasia, known as Kasia because she's such a popular professor, is a specialist in negotiation, which is probably why we've been hearing a lot about negotiation. She also holds a PhD, and she has been trained in negotiation techniques in many places, including, I believe, by the FBI. So she should be able to persuade us of pretty much anything, I think. And she's just in the process of finishing her book, which describes her approach to 360-degree negotiation, which is a really holistic approach which takes into account lots of the kind of interpersonal aspects of negotiation as well. She's also a specialist in law, so she takes the course on media regulation also. Who have I missed?
That's great, thank you. That's terrific.
Yeah. So overall, the professors have strong academic grounding and professional experience, which is usually current professional experience as well, meaning we have a foot into what's going on in the professional world at the moment, sometimes in private sector and sometimes in international organizations and NGOs that are here in Geneva. And this also means that we're well placed to advise the students on their career goals and potentially to help them as well through the networks to find opportunities and internships in Geneva or potentially elsewhere. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, in that case, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Hopefully it's been informative. And obviously, if anyone has any more questions, we can make my email appear close to any video footage from tonight's information session, grosso@webster.ch. And we're really happy to answer any other questions or to organize individual calls to discuss further if that's desired. Okay, well, thanks everybody for your time, especially Nicoletta, Carolyn. Thank you for taking time in your evening to do this for us. It's really appreciated. And I look forward personally to continuing my discussions with you in a slightly less public forum.
Thank you.
And continuing on.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Nicoletta. Take care.
Thank you. Good night. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Carolyn. Take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
for joining us. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.